Hi! Okay, sorry I'm late. I had a million and one things going on today and almost didn't make it right at 8. So I'm here at 8:02. And for anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Layne. I'm a professional organizer in Austin, Texas. The name of my business is Misplaced Professional Organizing. And I've been organizing for 6 years. Full time, and I met Jen in last year at the end of the year when she released her master course, and I started finding her program and joined her Facebook group, became her best friend, and realized that we were the same exact person. And she invited me to help her out here on Pro Organizer Studio, and it has been so much fun, especially with all of the awesome guest speakers. We had her friend Liz a couple of weeks ago talking about working with high-end clientele and customer service, and they were so great together. We had Danielle talking about subcontractors. That was fabulous, which is something I'm getting to apply to my own business, and I can't wait to tell you all about that. Not this time, but another time. We also had Hunter about social media hacks. She was amazing, and I'm just excited to be grouped with this amazing group of women that are talented and creative. And the girls that or Emma, she hasn't been on here yet, but she's doing websites. So if you need help with your website, you can find those all on Pro Organizer Studio under services. So tonight I'm going to be talking about 10 things you should ask yourself before you start a pro organizing business. Sorry, I tried to print this out and it did not print. So everybody's here. Hey, I see everybody saying hi. Thank you guys all for spending your Tuesday with me. Jen is on vacation somewhere. I don't know where she is, but she's on vacation, and I'm surprised you're even tuning in. I'm glad you are. Jen is here. Hey, Francine, Margaret, Christy. Hey, I don't know Francine, so hello, my friend. My computer's behind me, and I'm going to be looking at my list of my top 10 things, and these are 10 things that I found to be pretty important, but they can be, obviously you can have plenty more than 10 questions to ask to see if this is a good thing for you, and things that definitely have to be a part of your personality in order for you to succeed in this business. So I didn't have any wine tonight before anybody asks if I'm drinking anything, but I do always have snacks, so I have oranges. So, and anybody else that knows about my history or has watched me live before knows that I got a really awesome gig doing a remodel in downtown Austin in one of the high-rise buildings. And this year I implemented the package pricing that Jen talks about in her masterclass, and immediately I started selling my biggest packages, which are 24 sessions. And I've raised my rates once this year when I did the package pricing with Jen, and I'm going to be raising them again. I'll probably do it after this Facebook Live, honestly, because people keep calling, and that's a wonderful thing. And I'm able to raise my price because my demand is going up. So if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say package pricing, then ask questions, because we are here to help you streamline your organizing business and start it off right. And Jen talks about all the mistakes that you don't have to make in your own business, and she gives you tips to set it up to be successful in this industry. Okay, so the remodel project. We finally started yesterday on demo, so we're 2 days in. If you follow me on Snapchat, I've been posting some pictures about it. It's pretty cool to watch them do the demo. I've never seen anything like that, and I'm definitely not familiar with that world, but I am loving it. And it's been 2 months of picking out tile and designing the layout and what we're going to do in all the rooms. And I know a lot about the industry now, and the contractor I'm working with says that I'm the best partner he's ever had, and that is wonderful, because that means maybe this is something I can do for more than just this client. That would be amazing. I see somebody says hi from California. Hey, California. So Zoe, you're, what part of California are you in? I lived in Santa Barbara for I lived there for 6 years. In the last 3 years, I was starting my organizing business before I moved here. So the remodel job is going great for me. I'm excited about that. Follow me on Snapchat for more updates about where we are along the project. It's supposed to be about 4 weeks, but we'll see. Stay tuned, because it took 2 months to even get started. So it's been a lot of fun and a lot of learning. So let's jump in. We're talking about 10 things you should ask yourself before you start an organizing business. San Jose, that's awesome, Zoe. Ask your questions along if you have any, and I'll try to get to a couple between each of them, but I also want to try to knock them out because you know how we can talk and talk and talk, and I want to try to keep it to an hour and have snacks. So anyways, the number one thing that you should ask yourself before you start an organizing business is, do I possess the necessary skills to call myself an expert in this field? And I think everybody knows that kind of rolls into kind of what my second one is, but you have to be able to implement this stuff in your own life in order to teach other people, in order to have realistic suggestions of what they should do to solve their problem, or how they should fix their office, or how they should organize their files. You have to be practicing this in your own life and trying out other stuff constantly. And you know, I buy stuff that's a new product just to mess with it, and if I don't end up liking it, I can return it, but I figure it out so I can see if it'll work for my clients in their homes and in their pantries and their closets, wherever their troubled spaces are. A lot of the time I end up keeping it and I have it in my house, which is awesome because that means I know exactly what I'm talking about and I can give a real testimonial of the function of this particular product. But if I don't like it, I take it back, and then when my clients ask, you know, why don't we use X, Y, and Z, I can say because it's not a good product. I've tried it. Here are the problems that I ran into. Or sometimes it just doesn't have good reviews, and you can trust those kind of things. So knowing what your products are and being familiar with what's in the organizing world and keeping up to date with what makes you an expert in that field, which that can be like going on forever. So I don't want to say that you have to not start your organizing business until you're the expert, but if you already possess these skills in your own daily life and you're willing to learn about what's current on the market in terms of supplies, products, anything related to closets, organizing, products, garage stuff, if you try to stay on top of that and you look at Pinterest, you can learn about all kinds of products across multiple different retailers. Pinterest, I don't know how people survived, honestly. Definitely, I don't know how they planned weddings before it existed. So you want to be able to have your client believe you when you say, I'm a professional organizer, and you need to act like the expert when you're there. So that's something you have to be confident in so that you can sell that to your client and they know that you're the expert in it too. Because when they believe you, they will buy packages from you. And when they buy packages from you, they will fall in love with you and tell their friends about you. And that's a great thing. I started with a new client today. She was the first one who bought my largest package for 24 sessions, and she bought it 2 months ago. But we booked her out for this late because I was going to be working on the remodel project, and she was going to Africa to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which is awesome. And today was our first session, and she was awesome. And she came from a previous client who I worked for her, I guess, sister-in-law, and they loved me. And so they hired me. She hired me for the sister-in-law too, and then she recommended me to her friend, who is the one who bought my biggest package. So when you are being amazing at what you do and you are the expert and your friends love it, or your clients love it, they will tell their friends. Okay, so that kind of rolls into number 2. Second thing you should ask yourself before you start an organizing business is, do I practice what I preach? So does my life reflect what I'm selling? And you kind of know when you think of an organized person, you think somebody that's well put together, that their hair looks like it's been brushed. They probably have makeup on, sometimes accessories, not a lot, but someone who's polished. You'll see her with her purse. I mean, this is my visual and this is how I want to appear to my client. I've got my purse. I'm very poised. My outfit makes sense. I have coordinating things. It doesn't look like I just picked up whatever was in my closet and put it on without any thought. Whatever I bring in is not messy or sticky or a old broken notebook. It's going to be something nice and cute that also reflects my brand and reflects that I am an organized, well put together person, which makes me qualified to tell them how to be an organized person or help them in their house if that's what they're looking for. So you wouldn't want to be showing up late to appointments. That's not something reliable, and that's not typically an organized person is on time because they always know when their stuff is. They always know where their bag is. They always know where their keys are. So that kind of stuff doesn't make them run behind. Now I know there's other factors like kids, and I can't speak from a standpoint of being a parent, but I have plenty of friends with kids, and I know that sometimes they are the reason that you're behind. So that's unavoidable at times. But if you know where everything else is, maybe you could be on time. So what do I have? You can't be showing up late. You can't be looking like a hot mess. I actually have that in my notes. Not having any of your tools. So like if you normally carry something with you that you know you're going to use all the time, that should be in your regular bag, like an X-Acto knife, not X-Acto knife, a box cutter I use constantly. I needed it today. I needed my tape measure today, and I didn't have my full toolkit with me at the remodel, but I had my, I did in my car, but it's in the parking garage way down there, and I'm not doing organizing there yet. But I did have my box cutter and my tape measure in my purse, and multiple times that came in handy and had what I needed, and, you know, already figured out that I would probably need that, and so I brought it, and it helped me be prepared. So, yeah, you don't want something as small as not having extra batteries on hand. So I wrote this one down because this happened to me before, and it was something that was so unavoidable, and I didn't have extra batteries for my labeler with me, and my labeler ran out of batteries while I was at a client's organizing an office. So we were using it like crazy on the folders, and the client had the batteries, and it really wasn't a big deal to her at all. She probably didn't even notice, but for me, I really wish I had had the batteries to replace my own labeler so that I'm prepared. I have what I need to do my job. For me, that's like a gardener showing up without a rake, or something like that. That's a necessary thing for my labeler. That's with me, and I use it a lot of the time. So do I possess the necessary skills to call myself an expert in my field? And do I practice what I preach? Does my life reflect what I'm selling? That's just a really big one. Maybe that should even be number one, because in order to get recommendations, referrals, you need to come off like the professional who knows what she's talking about, because she's living what she's teaching. She's practicing what she's preaching. Your friends will start to notice this about you. Even if a lot of people come into organizing because it helped them solve a problem in their family, or, get back on their feet after a divorce, or it could be a number of things. But if that's something that helped you and you started organizing because of that, it's never too late to become organized. So if that's not typically how your friends see you, and you're starting an organizing business and you're worried they're going to, oh, she doesn't practice that, she doesn't da-da-da. Don't worry about people like that, because you need only people that will lift you up and help you start your business. So come to this group, talk to us about it, and we'll encourage you, because not everybody's going to be a supporter. Some people that hate us. So what I'm saying by that is that you can become an organized person and start to practice what you preach by implementing changes in your life. Sometimes that's even more influential for clients, because you can tell them your journey to how you got organized and how there's hope for them too. So number 3 is, am I willing to sell myself in constant self-promotion, even if I'm an introvert? Anytime you're at a party, everybody knows. People ask, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? So I'm always prepared for people to go, what's a professional organizer? And I need to have a fast answer on my feet, and it has to be, confident delivery. It has to sound like a real thing, because it is a real thing, and people will pay you for this. And the person is always interested in what you have to say. They go, really? Okay, so like, what kind of stuff do you see? What's the worst thing you've ever seen? People ask that one all the time. So you have to have something prepared that you can say to them, and then feel comfortable telling them, here's what I do. Here's how much I charge. Do you need anything like this? Oh yeah, this is the name of my business. Tell some friends about me. Here's some of my business cards. You have to be very comfortable constantly promoting yourself and bringing yourself up. That doesn't mean like if you're at dinner with friends and you constantly, oh my gosh, my business is called this. I'm so great. I'm so wonderful. I'm talking about in social situations, when you have an opportunity to introduce yourself to another professional that may have a wife, or may have, a sister-in-law or a daughter, or know a woman that could be your potential client. You always want to bring your business up in some way. So do you have what it takes, the cojones, to talk about yourself and your business and how great you are all the time, especially when you're getting started with your business, because you have got to get clients in your pocket wanting to work with you, wanting to buy your packages. all that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm warming up. I was nervous today, but I'm warming up. I'm getting back to Layne. Um, Maybe I should talk about some questions. Sorry. I've totally not remembered to do that. So hey to everybody that came on. Thank you, Jen, that I look pretty. Okay, here's a real life situation. It's not that big of a deal, but today was just a long day, and I finally have started working on my Instagram. And as soon as I met Jen, we started talking about strategy and what your Instagram, how beautiful it should be. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. So I deleted everything off my business Instagram. That was probably like 2 years of content. And then I only had my logo on it forever. Well, not forever, like 2 months maybe. I had only my logo on my Instagram. And somehow my followers kept increasing. Not drastically, but I have like a little over 900 now. But this week, I finally started posting on my Instagram, so I've got it scheduled. I implemented what Hunter taught in one of her in her Facebook Live about social media, and I have planned content for the whole month, and I'm excited, and it feels good. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, miss.place.organize, and I'm talking about all the different things that are going on in my schedule right now, and I really, really, really did not want to go to yoga after work because I was tired, and most importantly, I was hungry. And I didn't prepare enough today to take with me for food and fuel. And so all I wanted to do was skip yoga and get a cheeseburger and a milkshake with caramel. And that's all I wanted to do. And I called Jeremiah and he said, you really need to go work out. You really need to go to your yoga class. You know, it makes you feel better. Because this job, organizing, is so physically intensive. You have to work out, especially like yoga for me helps me stretch all the crouching over and lifting and all of that helps me stretch it out. And then I'm able to sleep better at night. I'm able to wake up and feel good and feel, like my joints are strong for the next client that I'm going to have the next day. Because once you start getting booked that much out and that many days in a row, your body has to be strong enough to keep up. And he was right. And I felt great after I went. And then I had like this much time to come home and take a shower and get ready and be on Facebook Live. And he goes, why don't you just leave your yoga clothes on and tell everybody, this is the real life of an organizer and this is how busy I was. I said, babe, because the videos go onto Facebook, and the Facebook videos go onto YouTube, and YouTube is forever. And I have to reflect my brand, and I have to look good on the internet. So he thought that was funny, but that's true. Sometimes you're just flying through your day, and you're super busy, and I'm not always cute for the next client. Once it's somebody I've been working with for a little while, if I have to come from yoga, then I come from yoga, because it was more important for me to stretch this thing out if I was going to help them with anything at their house without just walking around like this. So, I can move the comments. Okay, I just saw a lot of things on the screen, so maybe y'all liked that. Okay, can we see what Hunter taught? Christy asked. I'm new to Instagram. Yes, Hunter taught a Facebook Live on this group, so she should be in look for the videos on the group, and you can see a list of all of them, or you can go on YouTube. It's easier to find them on YouTube, and her name is Hunter Welling. And she did a whole talk on social media, and it was amazing. And she's on here, so she can message you and give you some info. Okay, so I'm going to move on to number 4. Am I in a good place mentally, physically, and emotionally? So that's a big chunk. So let's break it down. Am I in a good place mentally to dedicate a lot of time and energy to starting a new business? Is my mind strong? You need to be mentally prepared for all kinds of things that you see. And not every client is going to have, a story that is wild, but a lot of clients do. And they also need a ton of emotional support, because I have a lot of clients that are really currently on my schedule that are struggling with letting go of things. And it is so draining for me emotionally, mentally, especially physically, because there's always so much that we're taking out or moving around, rearranging, putting back in, because they want to keep a lot of it. And then there's like a ton of therapy happening between me and the client, because they're having a hard time letting go of these things, and they want to keep almost everything as sentimental. I have one client who's working through her kids' clothes, and she wants to keep almost everything. There's currently the kids are 3 and 5, both little boys, and we currently have 15 large bins full of sentimental clothing from their lives so far, 3 and 5. And lots of the stuff still has tags on it, but it's sentimental in some way. And, that dates back to when she was a child and her parents got rid of everything and never consulted her on, what to keep. And she doesn't have memories, not of just clothes. She doesn't have any of those things because they decided when they were ready, they cleaned everything out. And I have another client who's like that, who also went through a divorce. And so she struggles with letting go of stuff. And it's constant therapy. Or if they didn't get through a lot that day, they're like, Layne, I'm sorry, I feel like I let you down. I want to be one of your best clients. And you have to reverse that in their brain and say, you did do a lot today. You addressed these items. You touched these items. We talked about these items, why you kept them or why you didn't. Either way, we addressed them, which is better than closing the door in it. And you have to have a safe place for your client to talk openly about whatever is going on for them. Sometimes they just don't have time to organize something, and so they hire you, and great, bada bing, bada boom. But sometimes they really want to do it with you, or maybe it's their mother's house who just passed away, or maybe it's their house that they lived in with their family and they just got a divorce and they don't want to do this alone. Like, it could be anything that people need help with an organizer for, and you need to be available, chameleon-like, to be whatever it is that they need from their organizer, because they're going to form a good relationship with you, a very close relationship with you, and most likely tell you a lot of personal stuff. So you need to be mentally strong enough to handle that and be supportive for them and not take it home with you, and you want to think about your client, you want to check in with your client, but that can't become you. There's sometimes when I come home from a really stressed out, client's house where I'm really stressed out. And Jenna, who's watching tonight, she's my Miracle Morning Buddy, has been somebody that I've been talking to about this client, and it's the type of client that she wants to specialize in. And so when I'm so frustrated, I bring it home and I take it out on my fiance, and, it's just, he's aware enough now. I mean, he would run and not talk to me and just be on another part of the house, but I didn't know that. And Jenna pointed it out to me, and she said, well, you got in a fight with him the last time that you left this client's house too. So, maybe think of something. She was helping me apologize to Jeremiah first, but she was also suggesting that I not bring all of that home with me. And she's right. So you have to have boundaries up about that, and then be in a good place in your own life to help other people. So that's mentally. Physically, I talked about that your body needs to be strong enough to help your clients lift things, move things, rearrange furniture, take things for donations. Like, not everyone is required to do that, but for the most part, it's a really physically demanding job. There are ways around that. If you say, I only want to do digital, or for instance, if you have any sort of back issues or, strength issues where that isn't something that you can do, maybe you can hire a helper who helps you do that part. But you need to be strong enough so that you can work with clients back to back and be useful to them and be good to yourself. And emotionally, is your emotional health in good shape? So that kind of goes in with your mental health, but being that's kind of the same one. I don't know why I wrote that twice, but it's mentally and emotionally draining at times. And it's also sometimes I find, unless I'm doing it on a Saturday when I really have nothing else to do, I don't want to organize my own stuff when I get home, because I have been doing it all day. And even though it's something that I love to do, I'm doing it hourly for a paycheck at somebody else's house. And I'm not sitting in my house of, my biggest distraction zone where there's a million other things I'd rather be doing. When I'm in someone else's house, I'm like, I don't live here. I don't know what's tempting here to avoid doing the work, and I'm getting paid. So I don't know. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but sometimes I'm just everything drained at the end of some clients, and I don't want to do any of it at my own house. So I have to save that for Saturdays. Okay. I'm reading a couple of these. Jennifer says, I'm only on my second client, and I feel like with both of them, I'm also being a counselor. And that's fine. I love it. I love it too. And you know what? We don't have coworkers unless you've got, subcontractors that work with you. But for the most part, I don't have coworkers. And I have some clients who don't want to work with me. They just want me to do it for them. And those clients are great and fun and awesome. And in that case, all the podcasts I listen to, they become my friends, and I'll talk about them and tell other people about them, because that's what I did, socialize for the day while I was in a closet by myself all day. But when I have clients that do want to work with me, they become your friends, and you will love helping them progress and watching them enjoy the feeling of getting rid of it and keeping up with it, or if they have hard time with it, they're comfortable enough to be honest with you and say, I really wanted to keep it up, but this has been a struggle for me. I need you to come over again. And both are good for you. They trust you enough to be vulnerable, or they trust you enough to just say, help me, get this system. This is where I struggle with, or this is what I struggle with. Jay says, you hoard your 23 years of baby clothes. Is that what that is? I just hoard of my... Oh, got rid of, and you corrected it too. You just got rid of all the baby clothes that were yours or your kids. And I don't have kids, so I don't know how hard it is to keep stuff like that, but my mom kept a box for each of us, and I love looking through it. I feel like that's plenty, honestly. And then pictures. You see all the outfits in the pictures, so you don't really have to keep the exact outfit. Maybe one outfit per year or something like that. I don't know. Okay, let's go on to the next. What time is it? 8:30, so we're doing pretty good. Sorry. I'm going to get some water, too. Okay, number 5 that I have written down is, am I up to date with available technology that will help me efficiently run my business and stay ahead of the game? And if not, am I willing to learn, or do I have the funds to hire someone to do it for me? So you don't have to run out there and learn everything there is to learn about the internet, because that's impossible. And none of us know how to do all that either. Some people are specifically skilled at stuff like this, and that's what's awesome about Jim putting a group of people together that already are familiar with our industry, because not everybody gets pro organizing, and just because someone's a website designer doesn't mean they'll be good at designing a website for an organizer if they don't get the vision and get the industry and get stuff like that. So in that case, you can hire someone else to do your website if you don't feel like learning about it. But are you up to date with available technology? By that I mean, are you where your customers are? Are you on social media if your customers are on social media? Are you doing, which one of them? Hunter talked about Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram. I don't know if I said that one yet. But you have to be where your clients are, or where your potential clients are. And if you don't know how to do it, then you need to learn how to do it, and you need to be willing to be active on it. And so Snapchat was a learning curve for me, but I started doing it, and I do love it. A lot of people know that, and we've talked about that in some of these videos. I'm finally getting at my Instagram in a way that I'm comfortable with it representing my brand. So if you're on Instagram, and you should be thinking about your posts strategically in terms of how it will look on your page, or making sure that you're adding content, or you're interacting with other organizers, stuff like that. And stuff like digital platforms where you can do e-signatures, or you can send your photos to your client afterwards if they want to have them. So you can email and correspond with your clients with email. Not everybody's going to do email. Some of my older clients don't email. They only ever call or text. But I have some that only call, so that's okay with that kind of stuff. But if you aren't willing to learn how to do your own accounting, then you need to hire an accountant, or hire somebody to do your Instagram, or there are ways that you can hire people, but it's very useful if you are up to date with some technology and you're able to provide some digital organizing for your clients. What I mean by that is, like, when I make lists for them, or when I send them my shopping list on an email, I know how to take a screenshot of the picture on the website, so I can paste that into an email to my client and here's the product that I'm talking about for your pantry. Here's how much it costs. Here's the specs of what it will fit, when I've already measured their pantry. So I tell them how many I think we need, and they can say yes, 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 no, yes, or it's just a lot. I'm able to communicate with them if they want to participate in a way that shows them exactly what I'm getting. It takes almost no time for me. And I can shoot it over in an email, so I don't have to wait till the next session to show them on the computer or whatever during our session that burns our time. So other things that will help you run your business efficiently are like Google Drive, Google Photos, places where you can put your photos on the cloud so you don't have to keep all of your client photos on your phone. I take photos every time I do a consult. I usually do a before and after if I remember, but I usually do at least something while I'm there, or I'll take pictures of a desk that I think they might like, or a product they might like, while I'm at Home Goods or Marshall's, and stay at the store until I hear back from them and bring it back. So those are the kind of things I put in their file because they're things that I thought about or used during their project. Same with Pinterest. I create Pinterest folders for my clients where I can send them the idea of what I'm looking for a space, or we can look at different products on Pinterest. A lot of times you can find individual products that you can just drag into their board so that you don't have to send it in an email. And those kind of things are useful, and your clients, that'll be what you're up against with your competition. So you need to be able to do that kind of stuff too and help your client in a way that we didn't have before, but you can really make it a whole lot more visual for them, and that may also help sell more products or help you get a deal doing a custom closet with a company. Like, I work with California Closets a lot, and they make me look amazing, and I just introduce them to my clients, and I facilitate the appointments and help with the the client talk with the designer about what is needed based on the kind of clothes that they have, and then I get a kickback from the sale because I brought the client to the designer, which is awesome. So that kind of one of those. Sorry, the California Closet one probably sounded random, but I got some of that contact from Instagram because she saw one of the posts that someone else reposted, so she was able to contact me, and we got in touch, and that was awesome. So the next one is, what sacrifices am I willing to make to become a business owner? That one, a lot of people think that owning your own business, you're set. Now you're an owner. Now you don't have a boss. Now you can run your business however you want. But when you have your own business, you work a lot more than when you work for someone else, because you don't get to go home unless you've got a super intensive job. Some people have to bring their work home with them, but for the most part, office jobs or other, I don't know what to call the jobs, but sometimes when you work for someone else and you come home, you don't have to think about work anymore, because you'll think about it tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning when you get there until 5 o'clock when you leave, and then you get to go and have your life. And that's a nice thing about other jobs, but when you're in your business, you are always working. When you get a message on Facebook, your Facebook tells customers how quickly you respond to messages. So that can depend on, and that could cost you a client if you don't get back to them quickly enough and they message someone else for their rates and they've already booked their consult and you lost that client because which I'm not saying don't unplug, but I'm saying you need to be on top of that stuff and have your phone and your notifications readily available so you can get back to people quickly. And you're going to have to pay for your own insurance. You're going to have reliable transportation. You're going to be the accountant. You're going to be the secretary. You're going to be the shopper. You're going to be the maid. You're going to be in charge of your own toolkit and your own supplies and restocking that. Nobody pays for that. But you can do that from the money that you make. You just have to have it organized. You have to be willing to sit down and do all the money management that usually at other jobs someone else takes care of, the accounting department or the whatever. You have to want to learn about it, and you have to be willing to sometimes give your Saturday away because you need to stay home and work on a Saturday and do your taxes or something like that. Or take your clients on your Saturdays if you're doing it as a side hustle, because that's how much you love it, that your Saturdays are spent organizing. Sometimes you got to stay up late. Not always. I don't take late clients very much. This is usually my latest night is Facebook Live. But think about what sacrifices that you're willing to make in order to do this. You're not going to usually have coworkers. Are you okay with that? You're not going to have somebody else making your schedule. You're not going to have, for sure, clients. Like, you have to go out and get them. Just because you booked one client doesn't mean, okay, yay, now I'm like totally in business, I'm all good. You have to always be searching for that next client. You have to be going to networking events. You need to join groups on Facebook. You need to participate in the organizing world. People like designers, people like closet designers, people that work inside other houses, real estate agents, carpet cleaners, all that kind of stuff. You're constantly on. You have to be self-promoting, and you have to be always trying to get new clients. What do I have next? Okay, so the 7th one I have is, am I comfortable corresponding with clients via phone, email, and text? Okay, I get phone anxiety, so I pay for a service on the Verizon offers that's, I pay for visual voicemail, which means I can read my voicemails without having to listen to them. That does not mean they're always accurate, and sometimes it's rather hysterical to see what Verizon decided my voicemail said and then also listen to it and hear what it actually said. So I get nervous to listen to voicemails. I get nervous to talk to people that I don't know who's calling, mostly because I want to be sitting in front of my computer and have my email or my schedule or, whatever available depending on what they ask. I like to be prepared before a phone call because I want to appear professional and as the expert to my client when they call. That doesn't mean I don't answer calls in the car when I'm driving places, but I won't normally, like if I answer in the car, I'll usually talk about their situation for a little while or say, let's have another call at this time when I'm home. So I'm in my office and I'm ready to go. But I pay for a service on my phone that allows me to see the caller ID of people that I don't have saved in my phone. And if I've been emailing with them already, that's always really useful because I know what their name is when it pops up and I know I can answer it even though I don't have it saved. And that helps me be able to answer the phone more often and I don't get as nervous. You've got to be willing to talk to people on the phone and talk to people in their houses and be able to have a consult with them and be comfortable in their house and be, or that's another one. Then, but talking on the phone, emailing, and texting. People text a lot too for rescheduling if they need to cancel, if little questions that aren't required for an email. Most of my clients text me more than they email and more than they call, actually. Usually the only call is in the beginning for the first phone call when we start talking and we schedule the consult. But if you're a person who does not like to be on the phone, then you need to start having practice calls maybe with people in this group or something because it's not something you can avoid and it's really not professional to only have text or email communication with them simply because you're afraid to get on the phone. And it's not easy. I usually pace around. When I started this, I would be pacing around the house like a lunatic anytime I was on the phone with a client. And now it's just another person who wants to have a working relationship with me, who wants to put money in my pocket. And organizing is never an emergency. So whatever we talk about, I'm already the expert here. And it's okay to say, no, I'm not available on that date. Those were the kind of things that I was nervous of on the phone before because I would just be nervous because the client was calling. I'd be excited because the client was calling. I would feel desperate for the job and I would say yes to anything. So she's like, oh, okay, can you come Saturday? Can you come like 8 to 10 p.m.? I'm like, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can be there. And I'm going to be there on Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m. But I didn't say no because I was excited for the job and I felt desperate for the work and I felt like there was no other day that I could have offered or said, no, that's not a good time for me. How about giving them the next time? Those are the things that you learn on the phone when you're not directly with them, and you need to have whatever it takes to be on the phone with your clients and be able to do that confidently. With email and text pretty easy. Email is up to you and the client depending on how they want to use it, but you need to be checking your email if you have your email out as your business email. You need to be checking your Facebook messages if you have a Facebook page for your business. If people are sending you contact information through that, or they're sending you emails through your website trying to contact you and you're not checking that stuff regularly or responding to them, that could easily lose you business. And another thing about the phone calls are that people want to connect with you before they invite you over to their house. It's important that they get along with you on the phone the first time. And even if it's a little awkward, I've had a couple awkward phone calls that went better once I was in the house, but that's where you really want to try to start getting them to feel comfortable with you. And they've got a couple of things they can relate to you throughout the conversation. You've said, oh yeah, I understand that. Or I've got other clients like that, so I know I can help you with that. And they start to feel comfortable with, you're the expert. Okay, let's schedule a consult to invite you into my house because that's a very private thing. And you've got to gain their trust right away on the phone. So oftentimes when they can connect your voice and your tone to who you are and the business they're calling, it feels more personal and less like you're inviting a stranger over to your house. Number 8, am I comfortable working in people's homes? So that's another one that's awesome for the phone call because you need to feel comfortable with them too. Just because someone calls and wants to hire you doesn't mean you have to work for them no matter what. If you're uncomfortable with them or you don't like the situation inside the home, or maybe it just doesn't feel like an ideal client for you, then you don't have to take that client, but you do need to feel comfortable being in their home. So say you are comfortable on the phone and you booked a client and you have all these other things and it comes down to the consult and you're too afraid to go into someone's house, or you feel uncomfortable, or you can't loosen up and do your thing because you're being watched, that's something that you should improve upon. You need to feel comfortable in their home. They need to know that you feel comfortable in their home, and you need to be able to take charge while you're there, because you're the expert. Don't just follow them around and, worry about breaking things or worry about them leading the session. Like, while you're there, when I'm there, I'm like, this is my office, this is my workspace, so here's where we're going next, here was da-da-da. And they want you to lead it anyways. They really do. I've had a few opinionated clients, but for the most part they go, well, shouldn't we go to the closet yet? Well, I don't know, you're the expert, you tell me, let's do what you want to do. And they'll keep talking about where they want to go, but I'll say, here's where we should go next because XYZ, this makes more sense before we go to the closet. They're like, oh, okay. They want to be led. This isn't natural for them to begin with, or they wouldn't need an organizer. Let me look at a few questions. Gabrielle said, do I create a physical vision board for your clients, or only show Pinterest or other ideas you find online? I usually just show them on Pinterest, and if they don't use Pinterest, I'll bring my computer and show it from my computer when I'm with them the next time. I haven't ever printed them out. That just seems like a whole lot more work when Pinterest. You can show them even on your phone too. Kathleen said, do you find that clients care what your car looks like? For example, I drive a 2009 Pontiac G6 with very low miles. I'm going for higher-end clients, so I'm wondering if that could be a problem. Other than an older car, I do present as put together. I would appreciate honest feedback. I don't think, let's see, as long as your car, like, is it beat up? Does it have a lot of things that need to be repaired? That might be an issue, but still, if you're getting to work and you're trying, more power to you, and you can park down the street and walk up there if you need to, and make it. If in that case, you just maybe wouldn't park in their driveway, but your car doesn't sound like a beat up piece of junk, and if it's getting you to work and you're hustling and you're trying to be there, I would commend that, honestly. But sometimes it's thinking, if you're thinking of the high-end client, I'm thinking of like a realtor who's trying to sell a multi-million-dollar home and doesn't have the car that matches that. But you don't have to sell a multi-million-dollar package. You can sell something that still makes you money, that still could be for higher end, but it could also be, for families in between. And it wouldn't matter what you drive. As long as you can get there with reliable transportation and you can haul off some stuff when you go to Goodwill, then don't worry about it. If you don't worry about it, your client won't worry about it. And you can say, I'm saving a bunch of money so I can pay off this, this car or the next car or whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't have to bring it up, but if you want to bring it up, don't make a big deal of it, and then they won't make a big deal of it. I hope that's a good answer for you. Do I have a call routine or script I follow when I get a call? Melody asked that. I used to. I have a list of things that I know I want to ask for sure, so I'll go through them and say, okay, did I ask that? Yes. Did I ask this? Things like, can you cook in your kitchen? Can you open and close doors in the hallways to closets or to bedrooms? Because if the answer is no, they can't cook in their kitchen, you probably have a hoarder on your hands, or someone who uses their kitchen for something else other than cooking. If they can't open and close their doors, there might be so much stuff on the floor that they can't open and close their doors. So that just gets me prepared for what I'm going into in the consult. And now I ask that they send me a couple of pictures of the space so I have an idea of what I'm going into. That mentally prepares me for what I'm going to need to wear and how big the job is going to be, how to set the client's expectation, and helps me decide whether I want to take the job or not. Okay. Kathleen says the car is very clean. Then keep it clean. Keep it washed. Whatever you have to do, keep the inside of it clean. Don't treat it like a junky car. And it could be a Mercedes if you treat it that way, girl. I don't think there's any other questions. Let's see. Oh, Christy said, you don't have any emotional tie to their things like you do with your own things. Yeah, that's true. Like when I'm going through my own stuff and I have a really hard time, I really don't have an emotional tie to their stuff. And sometimes for me, when I don't want to get rid of stuff, it's because I don't want to pay for it again. And I'm thinking about what a waste of money it was, even though I'm not using it, which is not a good reason to keep something. And I just talk to myself through exactly what I say to my clients. But when I'm doing it in my closet, it's tricky. I get rid of stuff all the time, but it's still tricky. You got to talk yourself through it. I think Hunter said that about her stuff too. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. Let's see. The last one was, am I comfortable working in people's homes? The next one is, do I have reliable transportation? So you do need to be able to get to your appointments and take stuff off. Like I said in the last one, sorry, I didn't realize I was rolling those in together. But you have to be able, so maybe you share a car with your husband. There are a couple people in the group that share a car with their husbands. So in that case, they really want their clients to be reliable with keeping an appointment because they're having to schedule that with their husband. Maybe you only book your clients on Tuesdays when you know you're going to have the car and your husband is going to be dropped off or something like that, or Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever your schedule is. You need to have reliable transportation to get to their house and then to take stuff with you when you leave. That's part of the service, is taking the Goodwill stuff. If you don't have something like that, maybe there's a service in your city. When I lived in Santa Barbara, the Salvation Army would come and pick up stuff if you had a large, I don't think it had to be large, but there was a minimum amount of stuff that was there for pickup, and if you put it by the curb, they would come and you could schedule that. So that's an option too. Maybe if you live in a city, I know the people in the UK have a different way of disposing or taking trash or taking donations. I'm not sure what it is, but I remember you have to get a permit or pay for it or something like that. So they don't haul off their stuff, but if that's something you want to offer as part of your service, you're going to need reliable transportation to do that, to go and buy their supplies, do errands for them if they need that. But again, we have the internet, so I guess you can order them in Amazon, pretty much anything, if they're willing to pay the shipping. I haven't asked many clients to do that. I order through the Container Store a lot, but I always order over the minimum, so I get free shipping. But that's something you could talk to your clients about, I guess. I feel like I need to have my car for everything for my jobs, and I'm able to move furniture for them, get furniture for them, and bring it and, even put it together sometimes if it's IKEA stuff, and then put it in my car when it's already together. So the last one I have is, am I comfortable and capable enough to lead and coach clients through difficult situations and sessions? So you need to be comfortable to stand up to a client if they're so I'm always teaching off of my example, and that's how I come up with my list of what I think you need to have before you start your business. And I had a client recently who was very overwhelmed with a lot. So this was the client that had all the boxes of sentimental clothes for her kids. She was very overwhelmed with the entire process. And we had talked about it multiple times in the previous sessions, and we'd had about 6 sessions before that. And when I had the consult and she hired me, she said, I'm going to need you to be really brutally honest with me at times. I'm going to need you to be tough with me and tell me, this is what you hired me to do. This is what you need. This is what we need to do today. And that was one of those days that I had to say that. And she was using her phone as as she said it, she was using it as her whoopee. She was using it as a barrier between the two of us, between the stuff that she needed to organize or go through, address, and between her and her kids. She wasn't dealing with her kids. She didn't get proper child care, and that was a whole nother difficult thing. But all of those factors played into me having to say some really hard stuff to her, and I had to feel comfortable enough to stand up to her and say, first of all, I've asked you to put your phone down multiple times in this session. I've also asked you to arrange for childcare every time that I'm here, and you agreed to that. That was part of why we signed the contract, because her children they're 2 boys, so they're a little wild, and it's very hard to organize while they're running around. And she really hadn't been getting rid of very much stuff, and she really wanted to get rid of a lot of stuff. On top of that, 2 animals in the house, both not potty trained, taking their business out on every piece of carpet in the house. And it was very uncomfortable to say, because I'm walking around seeing piles of dog pee and poop and going, how is she not noticing this? It was fresh, so it hadn't been there forever, but there are other pee stains on the floor from other times. And I had to say a lot of very difficult stuff to her that she was either being in denial about, or maybe she was used to it, and so she didn't realize how out of place it was and how not good it was for her kids or for her home. That her kids needed her attention. She needed to put her phone down. She hired me to be there at a specific time. She needed to pay attention to me and work with me while I was there. She needed to get the child care for the kid. She was crying, and she was very emotional about all of it, but she trusted me she asked me to say it. She trusted me to say it with love, and then almost immediately she just said, "Thank you for saying all of that stuff. That was really uncomfortable, and please don't quit. Please do not quit." And I said, honestly, I was thinking about what I would do to go about not working with you anymore. But if you can commit to doing these things, I will commit to staying working with you under these conditions. If you break any of these, I will terminate our contract, and da-da-da. And that was motivating enough for her. She started sending me all these pictures the days after I left. She got the carpet professionally cleaned. She worked alongside these maids that were just, oh my gosh, you can see her laundry room floor now. She sent me pictures of the kids helping her do it. So that felt really great, and it was very uncomfortable to do. It was very uncomfortable to be in at times. But whatever I was doing, whatever I was saying was so much strength for her that she needed. I'm so glad that I found the strength to say what I needed to say. And that kind of, you're not always going to have that deep of a situation with a client, but if it occurs, you need to be able to handle it. And you need to, believe me, I wanted to run the other way, and I wanted to lock myself in the bathroom and cry at her house because it felt very overwhelming for me. But as soon as I was able to say those things, I reached a point for her. It felt like one of those organizing TV shows. I'm not even kidding. When I saw it spark for her, I got the strength to stay in it and help her. I said, but I have to have your help. You have to help me work through this because we are not going to finish this in 24 sessions, and your expectations will not be met. And she's worked with another organizer, and she told me when she hired me that she worked with another organizer, and the organizer failed her, and she totally didn't do her job. So now after working with this client, and I said this to her as well, I don't want our situation to end with you saying that I'm another organizer that failed you, because after working with you, I can guarantee you the organizer didn't fail you. Maybe she failed you by not standing up to you or not speaking the truth and love to you, but you are standing in the way of me being able to do my job for every session that I've been here. So I don't feel like we're accomplishing much. Because she would ask me, are we getting a lot done? I feel like we're not getting a lot done. Are we? Because I'm really trying here. And I would say, actually, you're not trying. You pick up your phone every couple of seconds. You handle with the kids. You play with the dogs. Or you everything except do what we're supposed to do while we're here. So, no, we're really not getting a lot done. And I said it a lot nicer than this. But those are the things that I had to say. And I was sitting down with her, squatting next to her, holding her arms, talking with her, rubbing her back, and saying, I'm saying this because you asked me to. I'm saying this because you asked me to. And she put her phone down, and she didn't hold it for the next 3 hours. And this was a 6-hour session, too. She didn't touch it for the next 3 hours, and we got rid of more in that last 3 hours than we had in the first 6 sessions. And then she sent me all those photos. And she agreed to call 1-800-JUNK for the garage, which I told her we'd do after summer because it's the summer in Texas, and I'm not working in a garage. Okay, so let me see what y'all are saying. How do you decline a potential client that's very enthusiastic about hiring you, but you've seen pictures, etc., that's beyond your comfort zone? What I would do is either send an email or call, whatever you're more comfortable with, and however you communicated with that client previously, to let them know that here's the information of another organizer in our area that I think is more qualified to help you. Or you can say, I currently don't have openings in my schedule, or I don't have, there's a lot of things you can say to work around it, but if you feel like they need to work with somebody that maybe works with hoarders or works with chronic disorganization or something like that, you can reach out to someone else in your area and tell them you're going to send a client to them that needs this kind of help. Or you can ask them about it. I've got a client who needs this, and I'm really not equipped to do that. Maybe you can ask them to work on it with you in their house, and you guys can join forces for that job if you really want to take it. But I would just encourage you to be honest with somebody and try to find a referral to replace what you're declining. That's a hard conversation to have too, so that's another reason you've got to be comfortable having those types of conversations, because if you say yes and you feel uncomfortable the whole time, or you say yes and you resent that client the whole time, you're not doing yourself or that client any favors, and it's not a genuine working relationship that will drain you, honestly. Okay, Kathleen said, I love how much you share with us. It's so helpful. I'm really glad because I feel like I'm all over the place tonight, and I might be all over the place. I don't know, but I'm glad that you think that. I go off on so many little rabbit trails. Oh, you go, girl. As Anique wrote, wow, hashtag YGG. And I'm going, what is YGG? And I think it's you go, girl. And thank you. I'm going to start hashtagging that. I like that. Julie said, how do you work with 1-800-JUNK? Do you need to be a part of that process, or is the client the lead? She wants me to be a part of the process. 1-800-JUNK or companies like that, there may be different ones in your area. That's just the one that I said to her so she would know what I was talking about. I don't even know if we'll use that company, but they come to your, I haven't done it before, but they come to your house for what I understand, and they will load up a trailer of junk that's just going to be thrown away, like the back of a big truck, big, huge opening. And if you've got a client with that much stuff, I think there's probably a minimum, but they can bring the container size that you need. Check that out online, because I'm really not positive how that one or other ones work. I just know that's what we're going to do, and she agreed, because the work and time it would take to go through what's in her garage would be so much more money than getting rid of everything that's trash, and maybe sorting what, there's a lot of new stuff too, so sorting what's new, and maybe salvaging things like tools. But there's just so many toys for the most part that just need to go, and they're broken. They come from boys that are very rough with them, so a lot of it's not even, I wouldn't feel comfortable donating some of it because it's just so many different pieces. So just trash that would take me multiple sessions to take and haul off constantly to Goodwill or to the trash, or they would have to, you know, put so many bags out for the trash that week. So we're going to call somebody to get it and take it right away. And that also keeps her and her husband from digging through it and pulling it back in the house, because her husband does that also. I forgot to mention that. Thank you, Christy. Diana says, what do you do with a client who signed up for 4 sessions now? After 3 of them are done, and we still have barely got rid of things, which overwhelms her to have around. She's pregnant and at high risk. Oh, high risk and diabetic as well. I know physically it's hard for her, but we are almost done with the sessions, but not the work. So, let's see. You said she signed up for 4. Okay, so you've done 3 of them. I would say before you start the next session, to check in with her and bring a list that you made before you got there that goes, unless you took one in the consult. I usually take notes while I'm in the consult, and if you did that, copy down what you wrote in the consult about what her expectations were, what the spaces she wanted to work in were, and what she wanted to get, you know, what, just basically what her overall expectations were that you guys defined in the original consult, which you should always do. Defining expectations are the most important. I don't know why I can't say expectations tonight, but I do know the word. Anyways, talk to her at the beginning of the session. Have your list and say, hey, Sally, before we get started, you know this is our last session, so I just wanted to go over what we were hoping to accomplish, what was actually accomplished, and, you know, reprioritize anything that you might want to work on today in order to get us closer to the end of that list. And you can just walk through them with her, and she will be aware, just as you'll be aware, that, you know, this many things on the list didn't get done. And then you can sort of talk through, we really didn't get rid of as much as you wanted to get through. We can focus on some of that today, but we can also do more sessions if you feel like you want to get further down this list. She may be very comfortable and overwhelmed with what you've already done. That might be good for her for now. Or you can also suggest, sounds like she's going to need a lot more of your work. If she's willing to buy it, you can say, if she's willing to buy more sessions, you can say, now that I have a working relationship with you and I know what you like to keep, what you like to get rid of, and I know where certain things go, because by this point you'll sort of have learned her house, you can say, you can be up in the recliner with your feet up, and I will talk to you. I will hold the items up to you so you can tell me where they go, so you don't have to walk around. But then we can get this accomplished before your baby is due. We can get through some of this stuff before you have, you know, a newborn and you never get around to it. And it will be a lot less convenient for the organizer to come to her house after she's had the baby, especially during the first month. So maybe try something like that to see if she buys more packages, but mostly just set her expectations and go through the list with her. She'll connect it that you haven't gotten to those things, and chances are she already knows that. So that's just you reviewing, giving the summary, and being honest about it. There doesn't have to be any action taken on it or any judgment. Just say it, and you guys both acknowledge it. You like how I'm talking with my oranges? Okay. Thank you to everybody saying thank you for sharing. Christy says, be sure 800 Junk knows what you have. Sometimes they bring the wrong size truck. That's awesome. That's good info too. If they don't, they probably will ask what the big items are. Like if you have mattresses or furniture, they probably need a much bigger truck. Yes, and Bianca throws in that you should also offer more sessions. So if she's willing to buy more sessions, or you can also say, if we get through, how about if we signed on for a couple more sessions and we got through to this item on the list, then we can pick back up after you have the baby, maybe when it's X amount of months old, or I can come in and help with the nursery, or I can, start being useful for what you see that she needs, start offering that, and maybe she'll hire you for more, since you already know what her needs are and you can anticipate for her. Okay, so that's what I have for tonight, and it's also 9:03, which is pretty perfect at 1 hour. Sorry that I was all over the place at times. My brain is in a million different places, but I hope that this helped you think about what you might need to do before you start an organizing business, because just being good at organizing is not good enough. You have to be willing to put in the work, the time, the education, the networking, the physically and mentally and emotionally draining parts of it, and be able to fill yourself back up, whether that's through exercise or doing something that you love, being around certain people. It's a wonderful, wonderful career, but make sure that you are prepared to take it on, because just because you want to be an organizer doesn't mean you'll be great for another client if you don't have those things lined up about your personality yet. It doesn't mean you can't get there, but please do the work on yourself first, so that when you start your organizing business, you are offering so much value that people cannot turn you away, and that they want to hire you, they want to tell your friends about you, you will be, or their friends about you, and you will actually be a walking testimonial of what you can do for people in their lives if you can do that for yourself first. That gives you a full and complete you to help your clients who need help becoming a full and complete them at their houses or in their lives or with their families, whatever their struggle is. So, thank you guys for joining me tonight and spending your, Jay said, okay, did you get your first clients? I think she's asking, are you asking about how did I get my first clients? Oh, you're welcome, Diana. And Zoe, good luck on Sunday. I'm looking for Jay's response. Yes? Or are you saying bye? It's doing the things on the screen now. If you did ask how I got my first clients, I did a trade. Well, there's a couple stories. So I worked for a family in Santa Barbara as a personal assistant and helped with them as like a nanny too. And they got a divorce and hired a professional organizer, and then they told me to work with the professional organizer for the next 3 months to help divide their things, their belongings, on what went with him, what went with her, and then the kids' rooms, so that they could both have rooms at the new houses. And it was awful for the family, and it was very hard to be a part of it, because I would work with the organizer on their stuff and work with the husband on that side too. But I was actually hired by the mom, so then I would also work with the mom. And I haven't done any other divorces like that since that client, but it was a very useful service to that family, because the husband and wife could not talk, and we were able to take care of all of that. And whenever she would try to do it, it was very, whenever the client would try to do it, it was emotional for her, because it was stuff like splitting up their wedding china and stuff like that. So that's where I realized that it was even a career to begin with. And then I started doing it for people on the side. Like, I did a closet for a friend of mine who did spray tans. And I also packed her house for a move when she was in London, and we traded for like 8 or 10 spray tans. And that was awesome, because I didn't want to pay for spray tans and she needed help. And so I was like, I can pack your house, and here's what I charge. I just need some spray tans. And then she owned a beauty spa in Montecito, and she told her client, who I was working at a retail job, her super duper high-end client came to the retail store that I worked in and asked me to quit my job so she could employ me for the next year, organizing her mega mansion. And that is really my first ever organizing client that paid me cash monies to go through her beautiful things. And those are my favorite kind of jobs. And that was my first client. So good luck to everybody that joined us tonight, and be active in the group and ask your questions in the group that have anything to do with getting started as an organizer. These Facebook Lives are really targeted towards the people that are trying to start their business, but we love when the veterans are in here. I'm a veteran, and there's all kinds of stuff that I don't know the best way to handle, and I love coming to the group and saying, this is what I'm dealing with. I need help. I need someone else's outside opinion of what's going on that also knows what the heck I'm talking about, because they work in this industry. Because talking with my friends or talking with Jeremiah, my fiance, is not always, it's useful, but when they don't work in it and they don't get it and they don't know what we do every day, this group has been so valuable to have people that know exactly what I'm going through and exactly what my client is going through, and has super valid, awesome, useful, valuable responses. So thank you guys for spending your Tuesday with me. Sorry that I said goodbye about 13 times, and adios, amigas.